Hello, it is Monday, March 15th, 2021, and today we are going to be working on some stuff for the, I guess what's it called? It's called the Dungeon Crawler Jam 2021. Technically we can't start working on the jam quite yet. Let me get the browser up and running. Yeah, that works. Okay, and let me close down this instance of Unity. Is that still, yeah, that's still coming through. Okay. Yeah, so it's this, if you're not familiar with, let's say, dungeon crawlers, this is probably a good example of one. So basically it's first person, that's not the image. Basically it's first person, you can see you have the walls kind of that way, it's kind of in this perspective sort of view. So that's what that is for this game jam. It starts in 16 days and runs to April 7th, oh wait, it runs from the 31st to the 7th, yeah. So it's like a 7 or 8 day jam. What is the other important thing here? There is a thing that says that you can use, you can use any game engines, libraries, pre-existing code, or algorithms. So as long as the code and algorithms that we actually make are generic enough, I don't feel bad submitting them for this. So we're going to do some stuff. The type of game that we're going to make for this is going to be a typing game, actually. So someone was talking to someone and they gave me this idea. So the idea is that you equip like let's say a sword and a shield, or maybe a sword and like magic or something, and whenever there's a battle, you fight a single enemy at a time, and at the bottom of the screen it gives you like, one of 3 choices. And the choices might do different things depending on which items you have equipped. So some of them might do damage, some of them might do, might give you defense, others might heal you. You can think of it very much like Slay the Spire. If you imagine like, Slay the Spire where, each card on it has a word, and to actually play the card you have to type the word. That's pretty much what it would be like. So that's what we're going to go for. I have never in my life made a typing game, and I have also never made a dungeon crawler, so this should be interesting. I have some ideas about how I want to do it. Oh yeah, also the controls will not be WASD. Your character will just sort of run around kind of linearly and just handle events as they come. So that means that all the dungeons will probably be pre-designed, they won't be procedurally generated. So yeah, there will be that. Also, I'm using the new input system. So if you're not familiar with this, it's actually really cool, and you should definitely look into it. Basically, what you do is you generate sort of this input asset, and it generates this mapping. So the actual actions are called forward, backward, left, and right, and then you can bind events to these actions. These are ones that I created. You can obviously add new ones, etc., etc. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to delete that. Okay. But yeah, you can create named actions and you can bind them. In this case, this is bound to W on the keyboard. I created a bunch for letters. I don't know if there's a better way to programmatically do this, but this is the way that I chose to do it. It's not super terrible. But yeah, we'll be working with this part later at some point, and I'll show off how to actually use it. But yeah, I just did this for testing purposes. We actually don't need this. We'll delete this eventually. But the way that it works is it creates all these mappings. So you see that there's this sort of movement forward slash backward. That's because there's an action map. So the cool thing is that these action maps can be enabled and disabled very easily. There is an issue with this that I'm not super happy with. It's action maps can't really be rebound the way that I want them to be. Like there's ways to create action maps and things like that. The issue that I have is that, let's say I wanted some kind of like, UI action map binding. The way that I like to do it is I like to have each sort of menu that's layered on top of each other to just have its own sort of map. But if you don't, I'd like it so that each menu has its own sort of map. The problem being that you would either have to create those dynamically, or you'd have to know how many menus there's going to be in advance, and maybe you don't. So it's very hard to make this sort of thing dynamic. And to complicate things, whenever you want to do like rebinding, you can rebind these actions, but you have to know exactly what was bound to them before if you want to unbind them. So like if you had a menu that was covering another menu, and let's say they were almost exactly the same, you'd have to unbind the previous menu first, and then you'd have to bind the new one. So it still gives you this very fiddly kind of problem. Hey, how's it going? Game jam? Yeah, keyboard might be a little messed up. But hey, how's it going? Yeah, just describing sort of what we're doing, and the new-ish input stuff. Like I've never. So we're making a game for the Dungeon Crawler Game Jam for 2021, and just sort of describing, yeah, C#. Yeah, C# is amazing. Yep, C# and Unity. But yeah, just sort of describing the stuff that we're going to be doing. Today we're starting a new project. It's always a fun day, right? Whenever you start a new project. But anyway, the first thing I want to do is I want to get the sort of movement, well, not movement, but the actual like how we're going to do everything set up. And I think what we can do. What's the topic? Oh, it's so we're working on stuff for this Dungeon Crawler Jam 2021. It hasn't started yet, but what we can do, since we can use pre-existing stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on more generic sort of code that we can use to, you know, just work on it, you know, so that we don't have to rewrite all of it during the jam. Because usually the point of jams like this, especially like the Dungeon Crawler ones, is not to like rewrite all the pre-existing algorithms. It's to, you know, combine them into something unique. And so in this case, I want to do a typing game, which I've never done before. So we can test out some of the typing stuff and actually make it feel good. And that's, you know, that's a pre-existing sort of mechanic. It's not like it's anything new for the jam itself. And so yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. Okay, I'll see you. All right, so what I want to do, or the first thing I want to do at the very least, is to get the world set up with however that's going to work. So, my theory, all right, first thing we need to do is we need to figure out sort of what the scale of the world is going to be. So I think each, let's say quote unquote square is going to be 2 by 2. And then the walls are probably going to be 1 high. So it's going to be like a 2 by 1 sort of, you know, 2 by 2 by 1 sort of grid squares. Oh, whoops. Where you are? Are you at -90? I think you were at -90. Yeah, oops, wrong way. Since these are quads, they only render one way. We'll probably use sprites in the final thing, but for now I think we're just going to use quads to get this working. I think we don't want the roof to cast shadows, actually. Maybe we do just want to use quads all the way through, because then we can use like 3D sort of effects. Actually, that might be better. We do have to worry about the shadowing though. So I can't select that quad now. Alright, not dynamic occlusion, what is it? Is it cast shadows off? That way things will shine through you. And also I think you don't want to receive shadows? Is that how that works? No, I think the ceiling is just going to be dark. Yeah. Alright, whatever. I don't care. Not a huge deal. Deal with it. Well, I mean, we could add some lights, actually. So hang on, these two. You two are walls. You are the floor. And you are the roof. Okay. And then on the floor, we need to add a parent. Whoops, that's not right at all. Hold on. Wait, you need to be at 0, 0, 0. Yes. Why were you offset? So I put all of you in here. You shouldn't be offset. Okay, you're not. Good. All right. Now we have sort of a corridor. And actually, what does that look like? It's hard to see. That's what it looks like. All right, so if we duplicate you a couple times. All right, what exactly does that look like? Okay, it's very dark. So that's one issue. Otherwise, I think we need the walls to have some kind of texture. Let's see. Where can we go for materials? Here. All right. Let's say MAT. This will be floor. And we will put you here. And then we'll duplicate you for walls. Right. You two, we'll just put the wall material on you. Let's recolor these. Let's make them, I don't know, some horrendous blue color. That's probably fine. And then the floor, can make that maybe some reddish color? Yeah, just so that we can see this stuff. I mean, we're going to obviously change this later, but just want to be able to see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's okay. All right. How do I make you... I'm going to make this work out better. So you're sitting that way. I don't know. What happens if... I've never messed with the lighting in Unity that much. Let's see, what if I just add like a point light? Oh god. Range 1? Sure. And just add one on both sides? No, that's way too bright. That's way too bright. No, really, that's way too bright. Yeah, I'm not sure how lighting works in Unity. No, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Actually, wait. No, I have an idea. Can I just add... Can I just put you in the center here? And just maybe have that just work? Let's say at 1. No, let's say at 0.5. Actually, I don't know why 1 doesn't work. But yeah, yes I do. Alright, it's 0.1. Nope, that doesn't help. 2? Maybe? No, just so that there's some light. We don't have to keep it, but just so that there's some light. Yeah, we can do something like that. I don't know how expensive that is to run, but it doesn't really matter. We'll say corridor. Corridor straight. Sure. This will just be the light, right? So have that, and then let's say what we need to do is we need to make kind of like a T sort of shape. So in this case, we will grab one of these, destroy it, then we will grab you, do sort of like this, right? This is a sort of T shape, all right. Then we need a sort of turn, like a curve, right? Have you, and then just need not you, but the other one of you. Yes, you. We need a U to be here. Okay. So this is sort of the turn, curve, however you want to say it. Say curve. Curve, cool. And I think all of that is good, so let's throw these into prefabs. Yeah, wait, what? Oh, can you have to do it one at a time? Okay, that's interesting. Alright. So now, what I would like to do, actually, I'd like to hide. Can I hide you all? Like, if I... So if I duplicate you, will the light be hidden? No, it will not. Okay, that's interesting. Alright. That's fair, I suppose. So cool, we got that. Alright, now we need to actually be able to move around this, just to see what that's kind of like. So, what we need to do is we need a player component. Yes. say player component. Okay. Okay, so for this, we're going to throw this into the namespace, red plus blue. It's not super important to namespace this stuff, but I'm going to do it just to get used to some C# stuff. Okay, can get rid of these, we don't need them. So what I want to do, is the first thing I want to do is I want to move the camera based on, I want to just have the player move around for right now. We're not going to do that like at the end of the game, or the final control scheme is not going to be that, but I just want to do that for now. So what we need to do, using the newer Unity input. Hey, okay. It's good to see you back. How's it going? Do you do any game development yourself? I assume so, since you recognize this as Unity and C#. Okay, so what we want to do for using this the newer input system, or I'll just say Unity input system, because that's sort of what it is now. So yeah, for doing this, we want to reference a input action asset, I believe it is. I wish I was from England. That would be so amazing. Unfortunately, I'm from America. Specifically from Texas. Yeah, I wish I was from England. That would be, love the British. Oh yeah. What about you? What part of the world are you from? Oh, you're from Texas? I'm actually from Texas as well. Specifically, you're from Turkey. I'm from Texas. Yes. Ah, okay. Well, that's cool. I'm not too familiar with what's going on in. I'm not too familiar with what's going on in Turkey right now. Normally I keep up with politics, or not politics, but like news in the world. Like politics in general, but like news in the world just sort of by extension. How are you guys handling the COVID stuff? So what we want to do is we want to reference the input system, and we want to reference an input action asset. Yes. So this is the input. All right, and we want to serialize this so that we can assign it in the inspector, and actually I should actually do the correct, oh god, my brain can't think of the word. I should do the correct naming convention. Yes, that's the word. All right, and so to actually find the actions that we want, what we need to do is we need to find first the action map. So we can say input.find action map, find action map. The first one we're going to want is movement. So that corresponds to, if I open this. So do you do any game development yourself? So that corresponds to this action map, and then inside that action map, there's going to be an action. So we're going to call this, let's say, movement. Just saw a Korean. I don't know, do you mean like just someone from Korea in Turkey? And find action. So this is the movement action map. And then what we can do is we can say, or we need to enable the movement action map. I don't know why, but for whatever reason you have to manually enable the action maps. I'm not certain why they're not enabled by default. So you can say movement.findAction, and this is going to be forward. And then we can say, and he had 0 followers. Yeah, I've been there. What kind of, oh, became 10 at a time? It became 10. You mean like viewers? Like it's possible, like I've seen some people, especially if they get like an influx, it might be people like just buying subs or something, or not subs, but like buying viewers. But I don't know how all that stuff works. Like I've seen those sites, but I've never been sure if they're legitimate. I always assume they're not, but they might be. No, it's good. Yeah, I know English is one of those terrible, well, not terrible, but it's a hard language to learn. And it's hard to use, especially if you don't use it all the time. And plus the terminology for Twitch is always weird too. They have followers and subs and viewers and blah blah blah. Yeah. Yeah, the pronunciation of bass and bass is always weird in English. And also baloney. I don't understand that word. I never have. So, whenever the action is performed, we want to actually do some kind of movement. So we'll say public void, or not public, let's make it protected. Protected void, let's say move 2. Then we will have, let's say, a vector3 position. Or no, we'll have it move by some kind of offset. Yeah, have that be the offset instead. So for forward, we're going to move vector3 dot forward. No, not vector3 dot forward. Transform dot forward. So yeah, we'll do that. So in this case, what we want is a protected vector3. This will be the target position. Unfortunately, I don't have a Discord for this, and I also don't have the bot set up for commands. I probably should do that, but I don't. But yeah, I don't have a Discord. I really should set one up, but just haven't. So what we want to do is we want to say target position dodge. Yeah, sorry. I'll make sure to set one up at some point. Actually, no, that's fine. That could be that could be there. Plus equal to offset. Actually, what I want to do is I want to do target position is equal to, I want to set up a new vector3. What I want to do is I want to make sure that the target position is on the grid itself, because if we're facing like, you know, 1/4 of a degree to the left or something, the transform.forward is going to be affected by that. So what I want to do is I want you to be math.round to int, yes. And then we're going to say target position.x. So we're going to do that for x, y, z. That way it will always snap to the grid. Y, z. Okay. So now whenever we hit the forward button, we will move forward, and I also want to do this for left and right. We're not going to move left and right, we're going to turn left and right. So we need to make a protected void turn. And then this will be the angle that we turn on. So what I want to do is I want to have a target rotation. Protected quaternion, say target rotation. And actually this doesn't need to be serialized. All right. And so what we want to do is we want to say target rotation times equal to, well, actually, we can make this an integer. Sure, actually, yeah, I'll make this an integer. And the target rotation, we're just going to rotate that by, actually, do I want to, well, no, we don't really have a choice. Yeah, we're going to rotate this by quaternion.Euler, and it's going to be 0.0f 90 times the direction. So we're going to turn in 90-degree increments. And then we have left and right. So I think left, the circle goes this way, so the turn is this way. So for left, it's a -1. And for this, it's a +1. So this will turn us to the left, it'll turn us -90 degrees, to the right it'll turn us +90 degrees. So now that we have the target position and the target rotation, we just need to lerp between those things. So in the update, what I want to do is first for the target position, so we're going to say if vector3.distance between our position and the target position is greater than, I don't know, 0.1, then what we want to do is we want to say transform.position is equal to vector3.lerp. So lerp is a linear interpolation. So basically we move between 2 points at some constant rate. So say transform.position and target position. And actually in this case, this isn't technically this won't be a linear rate. This is a linear function, but we're moving 10% each time, so this will be like an exponential sort of cutoff kind of thing. In any case, it'll basically transition us in a smooth sort of way, and that's all I want. I'm not super crazy about the actual speed. So now we want to check, for the case of rotation, we want to check the angle between our rotation and the target rotation. So if the angle is, let's say, greater than 1/10 of a degree, then we want to rotate towards the target rotation. So we'll say transform.rotation, and then we will rotate that by quaternion.rotate towards. We want to rotate from our current rotation to the target rotation by, and then we want to rotate by, let's say, I don't know, 45, no, we'll say 90 degrees. Actually, let's say 135 degrees per second. And that should give us sort of smooth turning and smooth movement, roughly speaking. So let's check that out. Let's say on the main camera, let's create a parent. Put that at 0, 0, 0. Put you at 0.5 at 0. And we'll put this as the player. And then we'll have a player component. All right. And then we put the input into here. Now let's see what happens. So now if I hit forward, that's, right, okay. Problems, I see. All right. So the first issue is that these grid squares are 2 by 2 and we're only moving one at a time. The second one is, why is the target rotation not changing? Because I didn't know. I'm rotating the target rotation. That's interesting. Left and right are actions, and we're creating, okay, I'm not convinced that this is not working. I mean, I am convinced it's not working, but I'm not convinced as to why. Let's debug log the direction. Oh, also I can fix the other issue too. So the other issue is that we're moving by transform.forward. Actually, this needs to be transform.forward doubled. And that should fix one issue. But now why? Okay. So we are getting the logs, but it's not actually rotating the target rotation? Why? Why? That should be, I don't know why it's not rotating the target direction there. this is doing. Okay. So let's see what the rotation is before. Rotation. Let's save a copy of U since you're immutable. Okay. Let's debug log this. Let's see what the previous version was. So previous rotation, and then what's the actual target now? Okay. Actually, let's separate those by dashes. Make that more visible. Okay, so that's definitely being rotated, but it's not. Why is that not working? So the actual rotation is rotating. What? Why is that not working? Dot. I mean, this should be working. Whoops. Not equals times. Yeah, you should be able to rotate one thing by another by doing that. Actually, hang on. Yeah, you say that, but I don't believe you. Why? I don't understand why that doesn't work. It's previous times rotation, right? Am I assigning it somewhere else? No, apparently rotate. Why? That doesn't make any sense to me. This should work. Because rotating, am I just wrong? Is that not? No, that's gotta be how you rotate quaternions. How do you, No, I swear to God that's how that works. Rotate by quaternion. Surely I'm stupid. Like, surely something. I swear this worked before. Oh my God. Why? Okay. Now, show me how it actually works. Show me the actual code. Oh my God, you useless piece of shit. Show me how it actually works. Yeah, I know. This is really helpful with no code. I swear that's how that works. Right, no, what am I doing wrong? Okay. So y times the direction, yes. That should be... No, why is that not working? That really should be working. Sure, let's try transform.rotation times quaternion.Euler 90.0f times direction. No, rotating around the y-axis should be rotating around the top. Okay, let me just double check. So my theory is that rotating, okay, not theory, but my thought, my understanding is that if I rotate around the yellow axis, that's the y-axis, so that would be this, right? Okay, yep, that works. So multiplying quaternions together should rotate them, okay, that's true. Therefore, that shouldn't happen. It's very interesting. Why is that happening? Okay, so why did that happen? Because that should only trigger once. And this rotates from our rotation to the target rotation. We never assign the target rotation anywhere other than this. Alright, so what if we do target rotation is equal to transform.rotation? And then here we just multiply equal this. Should that not produce some kind of result? Why does that happen? That's... something is not working here. Okay, so this is rotate towards. So this should create a rotation from one rotation to another rotation. Okay. So each frame should create a rotation from here to the target rotation at 135 degrees a second, which is not that fast. So okay, fine, 10 degrees a second. That's still... What in the hell? I was doing this yesterday. Why is this not working? It's really starting to piss me off. Alright. Okay. Rotation, target rotation. Ah, okay. That's the issue. Because we don't want to rotate by the rotate towards people. Okay. So right, this doesn't create a rotation from to, it actually returns the actual rotation. It doesn't create a rotation, I see, okay. Because it would only be rotating by max degrees delta. Okay, that actually makes sense. Okay, that part I actually understand. There we go. That's what I thought. The other part I don't understand. I don't understand why we need to assign the current rotation in the script. That doesn't make any sense. Let me look at this. Okay, so the actual target rotation has a W of 1. Why does it have a W of 1? That's interesting. Why did it have a W of 1? Wait, that makes... So the default has a W of 0. So wait, I thought that would mean that new quaternion and quaternion dot identity must be different. But why? I don't understand that. What is the actual W in a quaternion? What does that actually mean? W represents a scalar. Store the rotation around the vector. So okay. This is Q.toString. So why does rotating a quaternion with a vector of 0, or with a W of 0, do nothing? That's what I don't understand. That's very strange. That's very, very strange. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna pretend it's not happening. Yeah, we do have movement and stuff working. I'm happy about that. Alright, so let's do a little bit more with this movement and just double check. Okay. Alright, so let us, move a couple things around, see what we find. Alright. U we can rotate. Yes. Okay. And let's just make like a simple little, I don't know, like square or something. And just kind of a round thing to sort of test this out. I can grab all of you. All right. That's not what I want. Global and rotate around the center. Yes. Okay. Right. We can put you there. All right. And we will put you over here. Okay. And let me grab a couple of you, move you over here, and move that there. All right, move that there. Nope, there. Okay. Let's go to light. We can hide all of it. Okay, so whenever you're filtering, if you hide, it hides everything, not just the filtered stuff. And then unhiding also unhides the, okay, sure, whatever, why not? Jeez. All right, I would say that to me that sounds like a bug, right? Because you would think that if you're filtering stuff, you would only want to act on the stuff that you're filtering. And don't do that. If I turn that off, will it? Okay, actually, I've never seen that option before. But I think what that did, hang on, did I see that right? No, okay, never mind. I don't know what that does, so I'll keep it back on. All right. Anyway, so yeah, we can now do some of this. Okay, kind of like that. And the turning doesn't mess with where we actually end up. So in the previous version of this system, it was doing just that. All right, so it's just lets us sort of move through the dungeon. Cool, I like that. Of course, we'll work with the textures later. Yeah, it looks like there was some clipping there. Why was that clipping there? Hang on. Okay, I didn't see it that time, but I thought there was some clipping that I saw. Hey, there's clipping right there. Why is that happening? That's very strange. Okay. Why is there so much clipping? That's so weird. And the rest of this is fine, but yeah, sometimes there's just weird clipping like that. That's very odd. Okay, what's our actual position? Let's turn off the debug. Also, if I set you to 0, the clipping does not go away. Neither does it go away there. If I set you to 90, now the clipping goes away. Is it to do with rotation? It doesn't look like it's well. It doesn't look like it's to do with rotation there. But now that the rotation's not right, there is clipping. Again, if I set you to 90, yeah, okay. So it looks like the rotation has to do with the actual clipping. All right. Well, can't have that. So, all right. I'll have to fix that at some point, but yeah, the clipping is just based on the weird rotation. All right, in any case, now that we have this set up, what I want to do is I want to get the actual like automated navigation set up. Because normally I want this to navigate in sort of an automated sort of fashion. So the idea is that the player will move forward, and then whenever they reach a turning point, they will be given, well, I don't know if they'll be given a choice. I think they will be given a choice in this case, which way they want to go. And then, they'll start moving, let me see if I can grab this the right way. Yeah, so, they'll move forward, and then, they might select left, and then they'll move, kind of like that. So we need to get that set up. So I suppose the way we're going to have to do that is each of these, I guess not each of the, no, I think each dungeon tile is going to have its own component, and then the sort of T-junction ones are going to have their own sort of little, what would it be called? Like they're going to have their own little event, and that will tell it, you know, select left or right, and then these are going to have their own event that will tell it to turn, and yeah. So that's how we'll do that. So what we want to do is we want to create a new component, and this will be a tile component. Right. So this is going to be a little more complicated. We're going to do namespace red plus blue game. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to have some kind of event reference in here. Also want to have some way of knowing where the next tile component is. So let's say we are, let's say, you know, we're here and we want to go, you know, we're on this tile, but we want to go to this tile and then that one and then that one. We need to have some way of knowing what the next tile is going to look like. So we can do that either with physics or before, you know, we can do like a raycast in this direction and see if there's a tile here and find that tile. That requires the tile to have an actual collider, and it's a little bit inefficient. But the way that I want to do it is I want to have some kind of map component, and that map component at the, you know, when the scene starts up, it'll store a reference to all of the tiles. We could do something else where we read the tiles from, you know, some kind of data object, but I don't want to bother with that. I mean, it's possible to do, and it's not hard to do. I just don't want to bother with it. So we will use namespace red plus blue dot game. Okay. Then in, whoops, that's, I don't know what happened there, but sure. In here, we're going to need a 2D array, a protected sort of 2D array of tile components. And so these will have their XY positions. So in C# there's two ways to do a 2D array. You can either do it like this with a comma between, or you can do it like that. This one just means that it has to be square. So we're going to use that because, or not square, sorry, it has to be rectangular. So we're going to use that because I think it'll just be fine. Like there's no advantage for us to have a staggered array. So in this case, we will have, these will be the tiles. And we're going to create a, actually we'll do that a bit later. I was going to say we'll create an indexer, but we'll do that a bit later. Well, actually, no, we'll do that a bit later. So in the awake for this, what we want to do is we want each child, or each tile to be a child of this component. So the idea is that we're going to have, as soon as I can do this, we're going to have an empty here, and it's going to be the map, and we're going to have all of these be children of it, and then we'll have the map component here, and then on each of these we'll have a tile component. So the idea is that we want to go through the children of this. So you can do that very easily. You can say for each, then we'll say transform child in transform. And so this will give us the transform of each game object that is a child of our transform. So what we'll say is tile is equal to child.getComponent .getComponent. This will be the tile component. Say if not tile continue. So basically, if the child does not have a tile component, then we just continue. Otherwise, we know that tile is not null. So we will say we want to use, basically whenever we do this, we want to compute the maximum x and the maximum y. So the var x max is going to be, let's say, start with 0, and then the y max is going to also be 0. Actually, this is going to be the z max. It's going to be 0. And then in this case, what we want to do is we want to find the current x and y. So in this case, we're going to say that the x max is going to be equal to the max of, mathf.max of the current x max, or the tile.x, transform.x, or position.x. What we want to do is we want to say that this needs to be rounded to an int because it's currently it's currently a float. So it might be, x, if it's 1, it might actually be, 1.0000.2. We just want to round that back to 1. And so we want to get the max of those two values, but actually the thing is that tile, the tile that's at 1, 1 on our array here is actually going to be at 2, 2 in the world. And similarly, the one at, 2, say 1 is actually going to be at 4, 2 in the world, because the tiles have a size of 2 by 2. So we need to cut this in half. And since this is guaranteed to be even, it will always cut in half evenly. So this will be the actual x max. And the same thing is going to be true of z max. So just change all the x's to z's. And then we have the correct number here. And then what we're going to do is for tiles, we're going to want to assign tiles to be a new array of tiles, a new array of tile component, and it's going to be of size x max and z max. And then unfortunately we have to iterate back through the tiles. So to say, well, actually we can store the tiles in a list is what we can do. So you can say var tiles is equal to a new list, and I think we need system collections generic for lists. So you can say a new list of tile component. And what this will do is this will just let us access the list a little bit more efficiently. So if there's some game objects that don't, if there's some children here that aren't tiles, we can just ignore them the second time through, or we can not even look at them, I should say. So we'll say tiles.add, and we'll say tile component, or we'll say tiles.add tile. So we'll just add this tile to this list. And then the second time, we'll say tiles.forEach. So we can use link now. So we'll say for each tile, we'll say tiles of, and then we want to compute the position. So that's going to be math.roundToInt. And then for the case of x, it's going to be tile.transform.position.x. And then of z, it's going to be mathf.roundToInt at z. And what? Oh yeah. So we have the x and the z here. And so that was just getting the position in the array. And so now we have to assign that to tile. Yeah, tiles of x, z is equal to tile. And we're going to do that for each tile in this list. That way we basically assign this tiles to have, each tile will have a position, will be at its position in this array. So the next thing we're going to do is we need some way to say, okay, at 1, 1, we need to get the tile at 2, 2. We need to actually be able to get the tile from the map itself. So we're going to create what's called an indexer. in C#. Let me see if I can remember the actual syntax for it. So the indexer in C#. So in in an array, so since tiles is an array, we can use this sort of bracket notation where we give it the 2 positions. We can actually do that for the map component itself. We could also have like a get tile at or whatever. So we could do public, you could do something like public tile component, tile at, int x, int y, or int z, blah, blah, blah. Oh, whoops, that's not at all what I wanted. You could say, tiles of x, z. Alternatively, we could create a syntax where you can just do this xz sort of thing on the map itself, which I want to do. So what we do there is we say public tile component, and I believe it would be tiles, or no, it would be, I think it's tile component, that's the thing we return. I think then we say this, so that's the target, and we say int x, int z, and then we return tiles of x, z. So now we can actually just use this bracket syntax on the map component directly. And so what does that all mean? In this case, what we want to do is we want to find the next tile. So we need to actually store, well, actually we can just say in the target position, right? We can say I'm trying to think of how to actually show this off. So let's debug.log. Actually, let's say var, let's say tile at target position. It's going to be equal to find object type. We're going to say map component. So we have a map component here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to say var x. We're going to delete all this in a second, so don't worry about it. But the x is going to be this, and the z is going to be that. So it's the target position dot round to int x and z. Then we're going to say x and z, and then that'll be the, basically find the map component and then we index it. So this was the indexer thing that we just created, and then we can debug.log that. The tile at target position, that should give us the name. Let's just explicitly ask for the name. Okay. So now, if I set all this up right, so we need to first have a map component, and then in each of these prefabs we need to put a tile component. So here we need to add a tile component, and then here we need to add a tile component. Nope. Yeah, add a tile component there. Tile component there, yes. Tile component there. Okay, great. So now what will happen? Something will break, because why? Is this at 1-1? Is that why? No. No, really, why did that break? I guess it needs to be the max plus 1, right? I don't think that's right. No, that is correct, yeah. Because if the max is 0, 0, then the actual max, or the actual size needs to be 1, 1. So we need the 1 because we have a tile at 0. Okay. But now what should happen? That shouldn't break. Why is that breaking? Right, because we're not dividing this by 2. That's why. But I think we still need that. Yeah, since now that we're dividing that by 2, that should be better. Okay, that's something with that seems wrong. Why? Why does it think that that's out of bounds? Tiles, actually, let's log this and see what we get here. Okay, so that's the actual size. And then let's turn you into a proper lambda. Okay. Then x is equal to that. Then z is equal to that. And then let's debug.log. Also, we need that. Debug.log, and then we can say tile. Say assigning tile at, and let's say the x and the y, or x and z. Okay, so let's see what we get here. Yeah, let's see what we get here. This shouldn't be an issue. What am I doing wrong? Also, what do you not like? You don't like this? No, what do you not like? Expected expression. Oh, that's what you don't like. Okay. Okay, that's -1. Where did you come from? How did you end up with -1? Oh, I know how you ended up with -1. Okay. That makes more sense because these are in the negatives. Okay. That makes sense. -0.5. Okay, that's at 0. Ah, okay, that was the issue. So now I believe this should be correct. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So currently, our position is at this corridor straight, and I think if I did this right, it will log corridor straight 1 and corridor straight 2 and then 3, and that'll tell us that it's actually detecting the correct tile. So remember, when we move, what we do is player moves, calculate the x, calculate the y, or oh, actually no, that's not going to work. Okay. So first things first, let me actually fix this lambda. So we can get rid of you, we can get rid of all of you. This lambda actually only needs to look like that. No, it needs to look like that. Okay. Can do that. And let me just de-indent these two, one level, perfect. Okay, that should work now. And now this, we actually need to cut this in half, because that will be the actual x and y, or x and z. Okay, so now, if I did all of this correctly, what should happen is we should see corridor 1, 2, and then 3. So we don't want to do that. Okay. And that'll cause things to hot reload. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Nothing's happening there. Why did nothing happen? Whoa. What on earth? Okay. I click one. Wow. Get thrown. It actually pauses the Unity editor. That's interesting. Okay, what actually happened there? So you. Interesting. So performed. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay. Okay, so that actually can't find that. That's interesting. Why is that? No, really, why is that? Let's say target position. position is equal to what? Let's try this. So actually what we need to do is we just need to say x and z. Okay. That's interesting that whenever the performed delegate dies, it kicks you out of the Unity editor. Wow, that's really crazy. Okay. So the first log we got was 0, 1. Okay. I don't know why we got 2 there. We should have only gotten 1. So the first one, so the first position should be at 0, 2. Okay, 0, 0. Because this is the relative position. No, that's just the floor. Right. So you are at 3, 0. Oh no, yeah, you're at 3, 0. Why? What position does it think we're at? I'm not at point 2. Also, why does it think that this is 0, 0, 0? Because that shouldn't be 0, 0, 0. Where's the pivot on you? So the pivot's there, so that's fine. Level position. I am a little bit confused. That's the problem. So the camera had been moved, but the player had not. Okay, that's part of the issue. Okay, so now, no. Why? Was I in play mode when I did that? That's weird. Okay. Why are you moving the camera and not the player? You should be moving both, because I just moved both. Okay. Because the target position is equal to, it's not equal to our current position. That's why. There we go. Couple minor hiccups, but you know. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting corridor straight 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Alright, so basically what that's doing is that's detecting, using the map component, that's detecting the next tile, or at least the tile in a certain direction. So I believe this will work? Yes. Okay. So as you can see, it's detecting the actual place that we're going. It doesn't matter which direction we're facing, it still works. As long as there's something in front of us, it is fine. However, if we go here, we get an error. Yeah, get a ton of errors. Okay. So what we need to do is, now that we can detect tile based on a position, we just need to check which positions to actually go to. Like, we need to check what the tile in front of us is, and then once we reach it, we need to check if it has an event associated with it. And if it does, we need to fire that event. But actually, the first thing we need to do is we need to check, based on which direction we're going, if there's still a tile in front of us, and if there is, we want to keep moving forward until we reach a position where there's no tile in front of us. And so we want to move at a constant rate. So we'll probably do that with a rigid body, but I am going to take a short break, and we will do that when I get back. So it'll be about 5 minutes. So see you in 5 minutes. Alright, we are back. Okay, so the next thing that we need to work on is sort of progressing through this dungeon, not dungeon, but, well, not dungeon quite yet, but we need to work on progressing through this thing sort of automatically. All I want to do is I want to just walk to the end of this corridor, and I want that to happen in an automated fashion. So, the way that we're going to do that, I probably should have sort of like a start button for this. Let's go and add that really quickly. So, again, we won't be keeping this at the end, but for now, I do want a start button. And so for now, I'm going to bind that to, let's say, the Enter key. Sure, that'll work. It's a good sort of start button. Oh yeah, also you need to actually click the Save button. At least I do. Okay, so in this case, we're not going to bother with forward, left, and right, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to say that the movement dot, whoops, let's say movement dot find action start performed, and we want to bind that to, let's say, some kind of, whoops, that's not how you do that. You need the plus equal sign. If you're wondering, the underscore is just it's sort of an idiom in most languages for a throwaway variable. I think Scala has it programmed in. I think C# actually has it programmed in some places. And I know in Java it's actually reserved now. At least I think it's reserved now. Pretty sure it is. But I think in like tuple deconstruction you can use it in C# as well. In this context it actually does just name the variable. So we can actually do things with this, but we're not going to worry about it. There's some kind of context here that we don't need. In this case, what we're going to have is we're going to have a bool, and this is going to be running. And so in the case that we have start, if we hit start, we're just going to say that running is equal to not whatever running was. That way we can basically turn this on and off at will. So in update, we probably want to move this with a rigid body. So let me just add that really quick. We're going to have a rigid body. We're going to call it rigid body. You know, being very creative with the naming here. It's one of the fun parts about programming is to be as creative as you can with the naming. It's also called encryption. What's the saying? It says programming and cryptography are both very fun, but you shouldn't mix the two. I think that's a saying. So in the case of this, what we want to do is we want to say if the distance between us and our target position is greater than 1.0, what we want to say is that the rigid body dot velocity is equal to it's equal to transform dot forward. Is that true? Probably. Problem with that is that we're not necessarily facing the correct direction. That's because this will move us forward at a constant rate. Problem is, I think it's fine. Okay, yeah, we'll just assume it's fine. So what we need to do is, if it's not, then what we need to do is we need to check what the actual... So if we are within 0.1 of the target position, we need to check the next square. So we need to basically say move on an offset of transform.forward times 2, actually. So in this case, we need to check if this actually exists. So we'll say if tile at target position, then we update the target position. Otherwise, we'll say var target position is equal to this, which is going to be equal to the current target position plus the offset. And so we will get the x and the y of the next target position. So we'll say next target position. No, next target position. Okay. So we'll check the tile there. If the tile at the next target exists, then we actually set the target position. Oh, hey, how's it going, the percentage guy? Did I forget an E somewhere? By the way, what is with the underscore in front of some variables? Never understood that. Okay, so that is a naming convention in C#. At least I think it's a C# naming convention. I might be wrong. But the protected, usually protected variables, you put an underscore in front of. I think it's a .NET thing, like just in general. Yeah, for the case of protected ones, the reason that I do it is if you have like a constructor, so let's say I had a constructor for player component, and then I wanted to pass in like, I don't know, this input action asset, I could do, input, and then instead of doing, this dot input equals input, if the variable were actually without the underscore, I'd have to do like read only. So let me finish this explanation. So in the case of like a constructor, if I called this input, this is why I do it, by the way. So let's say I had a constructor for player component. I know Unity doesn't do that, but whatever. So if you pass in, say, input, you'd have to do this dot input is equal to input. But if you have the underscore in front, you can actually just do this, and it makes sort of more sense. Well, not more sense, but it's easier to type out. There's some people who will actually do it the other way, which I never understood. Some people will do this. I don't fully understand this, but I guess. But yeah, that's why I do it specifically. But in the case of like read only, these are not read only. These can be changed in protected. These can be changed in child classes, and that's why I make everything protected by default. In some languages like Java, protected has a different meaning in Java. You can modify, like in Java, protected is broken, so in Java they just use private, but in C# you can use protected pretty freely. But yeah, protected just means that you can use it, or that you can mess with it in its class and child classes, whereas private would be like you can't mess with it. Let me actually double check the naming convention. .NET, what is it? .NET underscore naming. Let me just double check that I actually have this right. What does it say? Good article, style. The original guidance was never to use underscores unless they were part of a private member variable, and then only as a prefix. Oh, interesting. Okay. So the naming convention apparently only applies to private. I didn't know that. I always thought it applied to protected, or lower, but maybe I'm wrong. Huh. Let's see what this style says. Let's see, what do you actually say? I'm not gonna mess with that. But yeah, that's what it is. It's just kind of a naming convention. It just lets you know the difference between what an actual like member variable is. You can also reuse names. So like I can do, var input is equal to whatever. And that way I have both, input and input, and I know which one is which, just at a glance. But yeah, in Java, sometimes you'll see like M something instead of an underscore. So, you know, it'd be like M input. See this in Java, the M just stands for member, and it was developed for readability in like code reviews and stuff whenever you don't have an IDE to help you. That's the other place that it helps you too, is that if you don't have all this syntax highlighting, you know automatically that this is a member variable. You don't just have to, you know, you don't have to use the tools to help you. But yeah, long-winded explanation of naming conventions. It's all weird. But yeah, I would just say use whatever makes it readable to you. So, what we were doing is update, so we're checking the distance between the transformed up position and the target position. If it's greater than 1, set the velocity to forward. Otherwise, we just move forward. So basically, whenever we reach the next position, we say try to move this way, and then we compute the next target position. So I finally managed to implement inputs into my engine. Oh, okay, that's cool. Did you update the documentation with that? Like, I want to see the syntax that you're using for it. Okay, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm trying to think if there's, I know there's another game jam coming up. There's the Scorespace game jam, which looks actually kind of interesting. I might do that. That's in 4 days. Actually, I already have it open. Cool thing about this one, you might actually be interested in this too. Well, actually, I don't know. Does your game engine, does it work on mobile or no? Yeah, does it work on mobile? Because the Scorespace thing is for mobile. So that actually was, yeah, that thought came to mind. Like, I don't know how Lua performs, I don't know Lua's cross-platform thing. Ah, it's Windows only, okay. Oh, really, it's only Windows. Is Lua not like cross-platform? A game? Okay. Let me see if this actually works. Ankless time? I'm not sure what that means. Angelus. Not sure what that word actually means. Huh. First two. Okay, I'm sure that's not what you meant. I don't know what that word is, but I'm sure that's not what you meant. Well, it is, but I don't have the exporter for DLCs. Costs like $50 each, really? Interesting. So ClickTeam Fusion charges money for the exporter, and they do it for like $50 a piece. Oh wait, right. This should not. Wait, why did that? Aha, okay. That's the issue. The target position should be equal to transformed out position plus vector 3.1 times 2. Do some calculating. That's really strange that they cost $50 for each DLC. That's, I guess that seems like the way to do it, is that once somebody has developed a game for your platform, or developed something for your platform, just charge them to export it. That's kind of clever, actually. It shouldn't be vector 3.1. What am I doing? It should be transformed out forward. Can't think right now. There we go. Okay. So whenever I press enter, I should get an error if I'm doing this right. Yes, okay. I didn't even need to press enter. Yes, I did. Okay. What I need to say is, if we're not running, then let's just return. So now I shouldn't get an error. Okay. Okay, now whenever I hit enter, I should get an error. Good. So here, this is an interesting thing that I never knew. But apparently, if the oh wait, actually, oh, error pause. That was what I had on. Because I thought it was kicking me out because it was a lambda in the input system, but it's not. Okay, I'm glad. Oh yeah, also that needs to be a serialized field. It is. Okay, good. Right, so I need a rigid body on you. Yes, rigid body. Turn off gravity, then that. Perfect. Okay. So now when I hit enter, I should move to the end of the corridor, and that should be it. Okay. Moving very slowly, but it's working. It didn't work. Okay, good to know. So if you bought everything in Click Team, the base package and all the DLCs, it's close to, I assume, so is that 688.91, is that pounds? 688 pounds, that's, or is that euros? Are those the same thing, by the way? Euros and pounds, are those the same thing? Like, isn't pounds just like a slang for euro, or is that not true? So, no, that's euro. Okay, so they are different things. Okay, I never knew that. All right, that's good to know. So that's like 820 bucks in US. That's insane. That's a ton of money. Jeez, there may not even be that much DLC for, like, you know, a Paradox game. Like, that's insane. Like, to have more money in DLC than Paradox is just, that's too much money. That's just too much money. So where did I even set the rigid body position, or rigid body? It's this. Ah, okay. The Sims 4 is cheaper than that. Yeah. Well, I mean, Paradox, though, like, Paradox games have that much DLC. Really? When I can release my engine is adding collision detection. Yeah, collision detection, yeah, that's kind of important. You could get, like, Bullet or something. I know that Bullet is like a 2D engine. I think it might have Unity bindings, or not Unity, Lua bindings. Like, if we were to take, like, say, Stellaris or something. Let me see. Ah, Stellaris. Come on. Yeah, like, even if you took, like, say, Stellaris or something, it's only like 198 bucks. And they have a ton of DLC. Actually, no, I think CK probably has more DLC. So let me see how much CK2. Let's see what CK2 has in DLC. Only $300. Okay. Click Team, jeez. Okay, I can send you build 8. You just have to add me on DC, and I'll whisper to you. On DC? I think, what do you mean by DC? You have to add me on DC, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what you mean by DC. Do you mean Discord, or? Ah, DC equals Discord, okay. Yeah, where is my Discord? Let's see if I can actually find that at the moment. Oh my god. Right, it's being annoying with streamer mode. Disable, I don't have this in the foreground, I don't care. Show me my actual Discord name. What's my username? No, I don't want... Oh my god, really? Is that really my Discord name? Huh. It's not Dashboard, it's Discord, yeah. My Discord might? No? Okay, it didn't copy the number, okay. whisper me your Discord on Twitch and I'll add you. For whatever reason, my Discord is being weird. And it looks like Discord, but oh no, don't open there. Don't open there. Don't open there. Okay. Oh, okay, it re-enables streamer mode. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not showing me my actual username, and I don't know why. It's showing me like the pretty version of it, and it won't let me copy a non-pretty version of it. So okay, actually, for move, we need to click your username in the corner and it copies your tag. Does it really? Oh, it does. Wow, that is not intuitive. Okay. Yeah, anyone can add me on Discord. So, yeah, I don't mind. But yeah, I didn't realize that Discord names could have the spaces in them. I thought that the actual, like the part with the hash after it, I thought that had to be no spaces, but I guess the spaces work. Okay. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Alright, accepted. If people are watching the VOD of this, add me on Discord. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I was trying to have this move forward automatically, and problem is that I'm setting... Alright, actually, I know how to fix this. Rigid body dot velocity equal vector 3 0. Sure. So this should for an instant set the velocity to 0 and then reset it otherwise. And then actually, no. If otherwise here we want to say running is equal to false. We want to stop running. That's what we want to do. So if there's no new target position, then we stop moving. Oh god. Hold on. Nope, I don't have to take that. Okay. Now if I hit enter, I should move to the end of the corridor here. I forgot it's super slow. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? No, really, why did that happen? That shouldn't have happened. What is the XZ here? And then what is this? Is that really a null at that position? That shouldn't be a null at that position. That makes no sense. Okay, I will look at the installer stuff after the stream, just because I gotta do this at the moment. Yeah, let me check this out. Okay, so what are we seeing here? Okay, so this is 3-2, yeah. No, why did that? Target position should be getting reset. Oh, because we're not setting it here. Alright, I'll see you, percentage guy. It's good talking to you. It should be equal to that. That's the issue. Okay. So now this should work. Or it should work better. Okay. So we did get through the first tile. Now we're getting through the second. Now when we reach this wall here, we should stop. Perfect. Okay. So now it can detect that it has reached the end of the path. And really what we need to do is we need to, instead of changing the running, we need to say tile component next tile. Not next text, next tile. And so while running, we'll need to say that the next tile is equal to that. So if there's the next tile, then we do that. We can ignore the running part. So now we want to say that the target position is this, but we actually want to say on start that we want to say move transform.forward times 2. Okay. So this will kick off the initial sort of next tile thing. So we'll say if not running or there's no next tile, and we stop, yep, everything is right there. Everything is correct here. This shouldn't, why is that not giving me a warning? Oh, actually that makes sense. That you can, okay, you can shadow the names like that, okay. That makes sense. So yeah, now that should work. So what should happen is initially we compute the current position, then on start we say move at the beginning, or move to, you know, the next tile. If there's no next tile, or if we're not running, then we don't do anything. So yeah, this should work the same way. And I should also set the velocity a little bit higher. So rather than that, we should say is equal to that. So just double the velocity basically. Let's check this out. Let's see what we get. Okay. So now we're moving pretty quickly, and now when we hit the end, nothing should happen. Or sorry, we should stop. Perfect. Okay. Great. So now what we want to do is when we reach a tile, we want to trigger the event in that tile. So what that means is I'm just going to, for the purposes of testing, I'm going to say public Unity. I want a Unity event for this, but we're going to do something different. We're going to do something different, but I'm going to just use a Unity event for now. So we're going to say Unity engine.events. Actually, no. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to say public void on enter. Yeah, on enter. So this will be when the player enters a tile, we will call on enter. And so actually we do want the Unity event. So we'll say, I think it's using, isn't it using Unity.events? Or is it event systems? No, it's .events, right? .events. Then we have a protected Unity event. This will be the event. So we'll say if not event, then we return. Otherwise, are you not implicitly convertible? Really? Why is that? So if event dot listeners dot get dot count, I guess that's not nullable. Oh, that's very interesting. It's weird that that can't be implicitly. That's weird. Why though? Also, why can we not get a listener count? Oh, that's really weird. I mean, I guess it... No, it does actually matter. Really? I can't get a listener count from you? Method info, find method. Oh, well, that's such BS. Okay. Well, I guess we can create a struct, but structs aren't nullable. Oh, wait, are they? No, I don't think they, well, sure. We'll create a struct, call it event, and then it'll just be a Unity event. Just wrap a Unity event. This will be the event. Okay. Event, you're not going to get confused. Really, you're confused? That's BS. You're confused with the... BS. All right. Event or method, I guess. Sure. And now we can have a public event. Event. Sure. Do that. Actually, no. Lowercase underscore, call it event. Protected, and then we will serialize. Serialize field, and then I guess we'll make this nullable. And that might work. So we'll say if if event is null, then we continue, or we return, sorry. We basically just want a way to indicate do nothing. Otherwise, we want to do event.method. Method? Really? Why? Oh, .value.method, right. You have to, it doesn't, because it's nullable, you can't actually reference the fields until you actually get the value. Sure, now let's invoke that, okay. Basically, we just need a way of knowing whether or not there's actually an event there to invoke, and that'll be important later. Okay, so the player, what we want to do here is we want to call onEnter. Sorry, we want to say next tile.onEnter because we've just reached the next tile. So we want to do something like that. And then here, let's see. So this doesn't serialize correctly. Or actually, no. Sorry, we have to put serializable on this, not serialized field. We need system for this. We need to tell Unity that this is actually serializable. Okay, I don't know why it can't tell normally. Like maybe it's just a shortcut? Okay, it actually doesn't seem to want to serialize that. So maybe it can't serialize nullable stuff? Hold on, let's just get rid of you. So you can't serialize nullable structs. That's very weird. I don't understand. That's really annoying. Because here we can't tell if the event exists or not, so I guess we just invoke it by default. I don't like that either though. It's really annoying. But I mean, I guess it's really inefficient. All right, fine. So just create a public void log, and then we'll say string message .log. We'll just log the message. Yeah. Okay. So now we're just testing whether or not we can trigger events on enter. So the reason that we want to do this, the reason that we want to trigger these events is when we reach, let's say, a section like this, we want to trigger an event that asks the player whether they want to go left or right. And then similarly, whenever we reach like a curve or something, we want to trigger an event to actually turn the camera before continuing. So in here, you see we have this event reference. So what we can do is we can say target ourselves. Then we can say talk about an actual game object. Interesting. Okay. I was just curious if this gave us a log function, but it doesn't. I'm curious if I can get extension methods to work in the editor. I would guess not. So we'll say, you know, reached a split in the path. There we go. So let's see if this actually works. So if I hit enter, okay, we're not getting null pointers, that's good. And yeah, at the end, we reached a split in the path. Okay, perfect. All right, and given that, I think that that is a good place to, that's probably like a good stopping point. So yeah, we'll just sort of call it here. In a couple hours, I will actually be back. So we do 2 streams every day. Well, every weekday. One at 11 a.m. Central. That's Central like US sort of. That's US Texas Central. So that first one is game development, so that's what this was. And then in 2 hours at 3 Central, I'll be back. And what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at the games from the 7-day roguelike challenge. Try to get some of those running. Usually people are pretty good about getting those running on other people's systems, so I don't really anticipate issues there. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing in 2 hours, and we'll probably do that for like 2 hours. And yeah, then we'll call it. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Well, what I want to do for tomorrow is I want to get sort of the auto navigation working in full. So the idea is that we'll just sort of go around, you know, this path a little bit. And then after that, we need to start marking tiles that we've already been to. So the way that I'm thinking about this is that I'd like to have like a little door here or something. And the idea is that you go to the door, or you go up to it, you go to the door, it realizes that, you know, you don't have a key or something. So you have to go all the way around, you know, get a key here. And then we go all the way around. Whenever we reach here again, we want to know that we've already been here and we've already been here. So the idea is that it would turn and look at the door and say, oh, you have a key now, and then we move through it. That's kind of the automatic navigation system I want. So there's a lot to figure out tomorrow, but yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for watching, and join us again in a couple hours for the 7-day roguelike games. So yeah, thank you.